Hi, Eva.
Hi, Karen.
How are you? Happy New Week.
Thank you. Happy New Week. I love your braids. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. So, what's going on regarding your progress? Do you want to
Yeah.
share your screen?
Yes, I can share my screen. It should be easy.
All right. Hold on. Let me give
Oh,
you the access. All right. You should be able to share now. Mhm.
all right. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, sure.
Okay, wonderful. So, just to kind of go through our daily scrum.
Yeah,
Um,
starting with let's go ahead and start with the scope, which is chapter 3. And then from there we can now
oh,
move to the assignment.
perfect.
Mhm.
So, what do you want me to talk about chapter three or what?
Sure. Just talk around your daily.
Yeah, so chapter three was really interesting. Talked a little bit more in depth about like what a Scrum Master's like accountability is, like what their role is in the process, and kind of how they interact with management, with developers, with the PO. There was a lot of really good like test questions that like when actually primarily most of the slides were those test questions, which was really nice
Mhm.
to kind of see, and I kind of played along with the other students who were in the video. And it was really interesting because I answered like correctly the ones that they did like pretty quickly, but the ones they got
Oh,
wrong
awesome.
that
Mhm.
I also got wrong. And some of the questions were tricky, like some of them were
Mhm.
very tricky. I forget which one. There was one in there that I was like, ooh, that's not nice. That's really tricky. I think it was the self-management one where
Mhm. Mhm.
asking like they were asking a question and basically you were supposed to say like the team of developers were responsible for it, but it
Mhm.
almost made sense to say you were responsible for it, but because you're trying to make them a self-managing team, that was the
Right.
right. I was like, oh, that is tricky.
Yeah,
So
it is.
we'll go with it.
That's good. That's really good. I'm glad it's making sense to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so whenever you're facilitating the daily scrum, the view you should have is the board, not the backlog. So you should be facilitating from the scrum board or the sprint backlog because that's really what we are focusing on for the entire 2 weeks. So yeah. All right. So I think chapter module 3 should be in review because that's what we are doing today, right? I think
Yeah.
you've moved a little bit too fast.
Okay. We'll put it review. There we
Good.
go.
Awesome. All right. So did you encounter any impediment? Like I mentioned, module 3 is typically very short since it's mostly knowledge check. So we typically go through that very fast. But that notwithstanding, do you have any impediment from module 3?
Not from module three, but from the homework, yes.
Okay. Okay. So, for the homework.
Yeah, so for the homework, you had us watch the YouTube video regarding how to write a better user story. The YouTube video is really great. I love how it broke it down, talking about the traditional way, probably the way that we tested on, but then how you added those two extra components and how that really does help the user story. And I really liked that. And how, like, if people don't like write a really good user story, how it can actually cause issues within the sprint, and how a lot of teams don't know how to write a good user story or they'll cut corners. So really educating and coaching your team on writing good user stories is important. So I really like understood and appreciated the YouTube video. But what was my impediment was where to actually put the user story. And because we're doing like modules 1 through 4, like I didn't really know how to do a good user story for each one. So I just did an overall user story. And I think what you wanted was one for each one.
Yeah, because these modules are already your user stories. So I needed you to refine the user stories. Because currently what you have right now, I'll see them as skeletons.
Yeah,
See.
they look like skeletons. So
Yeah,
I
so
really wanted
again,
to just like know what you wanted it to be like labeled as,
it's okay. It's okay.
and where
We
you
can
wanted
talk
it
about that.
to
That's
go.
fine. Yeah, sure. So I like to always say this as well. When you start working, you realize that most of the user stories that would be in your backlog will look like the one you have right now. It's just gonna have the summary, and that's pretty much it. No details, no nothing, no acceptance criteria. And they think it's okay, you see. So that's where you come in as an expert, scrum master, and you coach them towards what it means to have a good user story, which is what you learned from that video. So now let's focus on one user story, and I would guide you on how to where you should be entering that information to say that your user story is good enough. Again, tools are different. Um, but for Jira, I'm gonna show you the standard practice. So you can open any user story here, any of your user stories. Mm. All right. If you click go towards the right, yeah, go a little bit up where it says Chrome 3.
Okay.
Right there. Yeah, click there.
Oh, so yeah, I didn't even know you could click there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I just wanted to open in another tab or open maximize it. Right. Okay. So the where you have module one, that's normally where the user story summary will
Oh,
go.
so here would be the user story
Yes.
summary.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the user story summary. And then for Jira, it says description,
Hmm.
that's where you will enter the layout of your user story as a I want to so that I can. You see all these details you've entered as a new participant in the Being Agile community cohort. Yeah, that's a good start, but for a user story, it's too long because
Okay.
yes, because the whole point of generating a user story is so that team members can only have just enough and just in time information to use and not get lost in so much details. You see, and not just that, when a user story start having too much information, that's already a signal that that user story may be too big. And you know, we according to Agile, what we are practicing is the smaller the better, because the size of the smaller the size of the story, it gives us the ability to really go into the details of what is required or to easily understand the complexity, the effort needed, and the risk involved. We'll be touching more on that when we get to chapter 6. So yeah, so which is why that template, they generated that template or the layout of a good user story as a good guide to enable us to have just enough information needed to develop that work. And then every other necessary details may be added through conversation. And but yeah, any other necessary details can be added. But first, we need to have in a nice, simple, written language what the story is about first, which is you follow as I want to so that I can. So you're talking about the what, you're talking about the who, and you're capturing the why. And then after that has been established, then you can add any other details as needed. Like maybe there are some attachments that you think will be helpful to the developers that will be doing the work. Go ahead and add the attachments. Maybe you think there are some screenshots, mock-ups, whatever you think that will be good for to provide clarity on what is expected. You go ahead and add it. Let me just show you one example when I'm talking about, say, screenshot, the kind of thing that I'm referring to. Let me use Being Agile Consulting website.
Should I stop sharing?
Yes, you don't even need to stop sharing. I can still share
Oh,
even when you share. It's okay. Okay. I need to first find it.
So I just want to clarify where my module one is, that's where I put the actual user story, correct?
No, don't worry. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay, let me go to blog. All right. So when our web designer was working on this website, this is an ongoing product development. It's been ongoing for 5 years now. So they continue to look for ways to enhance it and stuff like that. So just a month ago, this was not the view we had on our blog. It wasn't like this a month ago. A month ago, when you go to blog, you would see you will not see like a little summary here, and then you would have to click on read more to see the details about
Mm.
that particular blog. It wasn't like that. So before, like a month ago, before the change was made on this blog page, when you come on the blog, this you would see the entire day. Everything will just be here for you like this. But we thought it was clumsy, and we wanted to make it nicer and give our customers a better experience. So we asked the web designer to enhance it and be able to only so we can only have one blog page that will carry any amount of blogging that we blog post that we need to post. So to do that, we asked that they come up with a setting where we'd have a little summary, and then readers will have to click more to learn the details. Now, when we were generating user stories for this work, I can show you the backlog, but I'm not going to go into details, but I'll show you. So where it says attachment, the attachment I was talking about, we we got a sample like this, a screenshot like this, and we put it in the attachment section, so that you will not have to stress too much trying to explain to the designer, to the web designer, what you really want. That really helped us in the sense that he was just able to see that screenshot, and then he understood what our desires, our expectations are, and then he was able to quickly, come up with something, and it didn't even take up to 15 minutes. He was able to make it look the way we ask. See, so that's it. Let me show you what the backlog looks like here. It's not Jira though, it's another tool. Oh, okay. Okay. Seven. All right. So this is Azure DevOps. I don't want to confuse you with too much
It's
information. But this is just another tool, just like Jira. It's just a substitute. And after Jira, this is the most used as well. So
Microsoft,
Jira
right?
and yeah,
Yeah.
Jira and Azure DevOps, they are like competitors. Yeah, so these are the user stories that they're still actually being worked on right now. And where is that blog? Fix website blog. See, if I go into the details, I don't want to go into all that details right now though. But if I go into the details of the story, you will see the screenshot that I talked about that we added to the attachment in addition to the user story that we generated. But I can show you the user story. As a website owner, I want a website blog functionality fix so that I can create and publish blog posts and articles seamlessly on my website, ensuring a smooth and user-friendly content creation experience. So that's it. Yeah. So that's just
So kind of
the
what I
stuff
was
that
writing was more like acceptance criteria, maybe.
we'll get there. Don't worry. Yeah. So
Okay.
following the layout, can you go back to share your screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Mm, I think you have to stop. See
I already stopped.
if I- Usually it'll have the share button just right there.
You cannot find the share button again. All right, try to click your, what do you call that thing? Escape button. Click your escape.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
Okay. All right. All right. So where it says description, that's where you enter the layout of your good user story. I see that you actually had the idea here, but it was just so much details.
But what goes
So
here?
what goes there is a summary. That's it. Module one. It's a summary. That's good
Oh,
enough. Yeah. And then description is where you enter the layout of your good user story. As I want to, so that I can. That's where you enter that information. However, after you've done establishing that information, then you can enter anything else beneath that. You see, but we first of all want that clarity established. And then if you think any other details will be necessary, like maybe links to website, screenshots, wiki, whatever you think will be relevant for these people to do the work seamlessly and achieve quality, then you go ahead and add all that information. All right, then the next thing that you want to also, it's a must, is the acceptance criteria. Do you have a field to enter acceptance criteria? You know,
it doesn't look like it,
okay,
but it is.
no, that's not, this is for comments. It looks like it doesn't come by default to you. I'm gonna, okay, this is your first homework. Let me, I'm gonna share a 5-minute video with you. You will watch it to learn how to configure acceptance criteria field if your Jira doesn't come, if the default Jira doesn't come with it. Let me let me find that. Mm,
So for the how, if I was to do like the how part in this user story, what
mhm.
what would be like an example of what I would put or something like this?
Okay. For now, I would suggest that you don't go into that details. Just focus on the who, the what, and the why.
Perfect. It'll be a lot
That's
easier.
yeah. I don't want to confuse.
That'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, just focus on that for now. Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
And then do that for all four modules separately.
Yeah. So moving forward, if you ever have to write any user story, that's how I need you to think about writing your user stories. It mustn't only be in this class, anywhere else as you continue on this learning journey. See, if you ever need to write any user story, that's how I like you to think about crafting your user story.
And Karen, does the team or the developers, do they also write their own user stories or is it more of like a collaboration?
Okay. I think your question is who actually is accountable for writing user stories, or
Yeah.
every person will be writing user stories. By the way, as a Scrum Master, you do not write user stories.
Okay. So
But
actually writing it, but I'll be evaluating it and coaching.
no, you don't evaluate. Okay, no, not like you don't evaluate. Your job is to ensure that you're writing user stories correctly. That's your job. So that's really one of the things that I love about the Scrum Master job, because most of the things you really do not do any kind of task like that. Yeah, he's smiling now. Your own is to ensure that it is done. That's You're there to ensure that Scrum is established and Scrum is established correctly. That's why you're there. So let's use a user story an example. So let's say you join a team and you're looking at the user story based on everything you learned from that video that you watched, and you start seeing those red flags. What you typically do is, okay, you need to coach them to understand the layout of a user story and why it is recommended that it's written that way. So now, why it's important that you know how to do it yourself is because you cannot teach someone from a place of ignorance. You see? But it's
So
not because you will have to be doing it. It's because you need to teach them how to do it. That's really it. However, because we are a team, that if one person fails, we all are failing. And if one person succeed, we all are succeeding. That's really the spirit in an agile team. So there will be a lot of times when you will need to assist in writing user stories as well, because the team may be struggling with a lot of work and you clearly have the capacity to help out. You cannot just fold your hands and say, it's not my job. You see, you need to step up and help. So, which is why it's important that you know how to do it. See, so, but who is accountable for writing user stories is the product owner. It's not even the team members, it's the product owner. So, but the same expectation where as a scrum master, you would step into support as needed is the same expectation of the team, where they would also always step in and support as needed because we are a team. See, so that's really it. But the accountability remains in the hands of the product owner. So regardless of who writes user stories, it has to be approved or validated by the product owner before it can be worked on. See, yeah. All right, I'm gonna post this link in the chat, in the not chat, I mean in Slack. So you will watch the video. It's gonna teach you how to configure acceptance criteria field in Jira. And then from there you know how to do it yourself, and then you would come up with your acceptance criteria. So that's it. That's it. So again, how do you know? Okay, when we get to chapter 5, you will you will learn a lot about what it takes to have a good user story in addition to what we've touched right now. You will learn about the invest criteria. You'll learn about all those things. So yeah, more to come on that. So, but for now, that's pretty much it. So go back to your user stories and refine them and just ensure that they are simple, straightforward. And then if you feel they need to add more details, you can add, after you've established that. And then make sure your acceptance criteria is there. That's pretty much it. That's not pretty much it though, for now. That's good enough. All right. Anything else?
no,
Okay,
that's great.
awesome. Yeah, so getting to chapter 4, which is the next action item or the next scope. So there is no extra homework aside from you just completing your chapter 4. There is nothing extra for you to do. But again, the acceptance criteria short video I've sent to you, watch it. It would have been very easy for me to just say click here, click here, click here. But I can guarantee you it's not the best way for you to master things. If you go sit down and try to figure it out yourself by watching that video, it will stick with you. But if I just tell you click here, you'll be informed. You will not remember. Once you're informed, it takes just a day or two for you to forget it. But once you figure it out yourself, the reason why it will not easily leave you is the process of figuring it out. That process will stick with you, and that's what will stay in your head. See. All right. Anything else? So I can stop ranting.
Oh no, this is great. Like I'm soaking it in. Like it's really good and it's helpful and I'm learning stuff.
All
I'm
right.
not
So how are you feeling so far regarding the terminologies you mentioned in first and second day?
um I'm feeling I'm feeling good, but I definitely feel like of course when you're learning something new it feels overwhelming. And I feel like
Yes.
that can be a good thing because it means
Mm-hmm.
like I'm recognizing now the
Yeah.
magnitude of the job and like what it requires and all of those things. And that in itself is good because I didn't know. I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like
Yeah.
understand the scope of the job and what it entails and
Yeah.
like where I need to focus and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely
Yeah.
part of the process. So I feel good.
That's good. Yeah, good. I mean, I usually tell people that if you come to class on the first day, second day, and you tell me, oh, everything is good, I'll be worried. I'll be very worried. So I start hearing people, start getting overwhelmed and feeling worried about all these technologies. I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, you truly care about this, because if you didn't care, you would not even pay attention to even realize that, okay, there are some new things that I've never heard before. And how am I going to ever figure this out? So it shows that you care. But the only thing that I'm asking is that stay positive and keep an open mind because as you will realize that by the time we get to the eighth session, it's going to be the same terminologies we'll be using. You see, it's not going to change. It's going to be the same, and that's how you master it. And then remember what I said in the second lesson. Make it as a habit to speak these things in your normal daily life. You see, instead of telling your husband, what's your problem? So, what's your impediment? And the good thing is that he's also an agile practitioner. So I'm sure it's going to make things easy for you.
I
So
know. He's actually annoyed because I'll be like, well, no, that's the correct term. They don't use that anymore. And he's like, oh, it's like, yeah, I know. But like this is what we do. This is the real world.
I know that's how I usually really annoy most of my coworkers that I work with. They're like, Karen, you don't have to be this extra. It's what it is. I
That's kind
actually spent almost 30 minutes to an hour to analyze the entire new Scrum guide when it was released in 2020. I actually have a whole video for that on our YouTube channel. I talked about all the changes that was made word for word. So there's no way I would not know all the new things. So because of that, I think it's affecting me. I don't know if it's a good way or bad way. Now I'm expecting everyone to do it, say it right. Like,
yeah, he's adding
and
like different Scrum events. And I'm like, that's not a Scrum event. But he's like, oh, backlog refinement. I'm like, that's not technically a Scrum event. So yeah, he's
yeah,
annoyed, but it's fun.
yeah. Yeah, so before we go, I just want to add this one thing. I usually like to encourage people to see this whole agile and scrum, look at it way beyond just you're looking to transition into a new job. That's a mindset I like you to approach this whole process. If you approach it that way, trust me, you will be so glad you did because agility is way deeper than just a job. It is really deep. It transforms your whole being if you really approach it from a place of I want to really be good at this. I want to really know the insights. I want to truly understand this thing. Not just because, yeah, getting that job is a great outcome, but I want you to see it as that job should be a reward of your solid understanding of this thing. You see? So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. I will see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday. Thank you.